Shakar Allah, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakate Hawa, Barakate Hawa Shai, Barakate Hawa, Barakate Hawa Shai, Barakate Hawa, Barakate Hawa Shai, the water of Abba called Kadash. Give double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone that have taught this truth, which I believe through the Spirit is 100% truth. The title of this lesson is going to be We Are Those People. And we're going to start off in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. That's our people, man, to a T. Now we have these people that's over in our land, these imposters, residing over there, these Ish people who masquerading as being us, But first of all, they don't fit the curses. If you go through the curses, where do they fall into the curses? And it says, and the Lord will bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. Now, what people was bought and sold to their enemies in ships? Thou shalt see it no more again. They shall be sold unto your enemies. And our enemies is talking about evil man. That's our enemies. So thou shalt see it no more again. It was talking about our homeland. When we were taken out of our homeland, we fled into, actually we were forced out of our homeland. Many of us were deleted. And then the remaining few were scattered down in, we talking about the Southern Kingdom, was scattered down into Middle Africa. And from there, the Hamites grabbed us and took us and sold us into the to Evil off the West Coast, and and we were brought here to the Americas, to Babylon the Great. Follow up. Matthew chapter 5, verse 13. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden down under foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Now, what people on earth, out of all these nations, man, that always shines, that always, with their talents, man, is all over the world. What nation of people brings flavor to the whole world, man? Even though we just a remnant of few here in Babylon the Great, and that's mainly the tribe of Judah, and Judah being the lead tribe, man, Judah has influence all over the world, man. I done traveled, and I've been in different places, man, and you can go over there and you can hear hip-hop music. You can see other people, other nations dressing like our people, and a lot of them may be our people, because we were scattered all over 4 parts of the earth. But we have major influence over the whole world, man, through our, what they call, what brother said, is swag. All these other nations, man, love our swag. What we do in the music industry. So a lot of these other nations are influenced by our music. They're influenced by our dress, our style. They're influenced by our performance on the athletic field, in many other ways. But yeah, we are the salt of the earth, man. We the one that changed music. Imagine this place, Babylon the Great, without us being here, how dead and dry it would be, man. We the one that bring flavor. We bring the color to everything, You look at a lot of those European nations, man, everything is dread. It's either black and white or dark grays, Just the vibration of it. You look into any place where our people at, man, there's always a different type of vibe, man. It's a different type of swag that we have in our, look at us, how we walk, how we talk, the food, the flavor in our food. We're the salt of the earth, man. We're the light. We're that light that cannot be hidden. And even though our enemies work hard to keep us hidden, because the light that we have in us, we always going to shine forth, man. And that's not even with trying. We invented so many different forms of music, and that goes all the way back to Beethoven and Mozart. Even those, if you really look them up, a lot of them were Jakes, man, because we ruled Europe during that time, man. And that's just where the devil, man. He's always going to anything great. He's always going to try to make himself be like he's those people. Just give him enough time, and he's going to turn them and make them. He's going to make them like themselves. And same with Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai, we know he's not a blonde haired, blue eyed, man, which they call Jesus Christ, because this is part of their deception that they use on our people. They always playing, playing the role of the identity thief, and that's them. They're always gonna steal the identity. And to back that up, let's go to the book of Revelations. Shalakia for a second. I'm just looking for something. Thought I put it in here. Okay, Revelations chapter 1, verse 13 and 14. And you know where we're going with this. This is a clear indicator of who our Father is, man. And we take after the Father. He's not gonna have his children. He's not gonna be blonde hair and blue eyed and all that, and having his children come out with woolly hair and brown skin or reddish skin. It's not gonna happen. And in the midst of seven candlesticks, and in the midst of seven candlesticks, and one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. The head of his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow. When we're talking about white, we're talking about gray hair. White hair and gray hair represents wisdom. And remember when Yahweh Shah was here, man, he went through a lot of stress. So his hair was white, it became white like wool. And you talk about woolly, we talk about a texture. Well, people on the earth has woolly hair, wool, that's us. It's not stringy. And his eyes were a flame of fire. And when our people drink and the Lord, did partake in drinking the wine, man, your eyes gonna turn red. And his feet like to fine brass, as if they burned in the furnace. Fine brass. If you take brass and you heat it up and you burn it in the furnace, it's going to become very dark. It's still going to have that brass undercoating, but it's going to be very dark. So nothing about that is pale skin, And his feet unlike unto fine brass, as if it burned in the furnace. So if his feet that color, what is the rest of his body going to look like? So he's not going to have brown burn his feet with skin that's pale. It's not going to happen. And his voice as the sound of many waters. Jake, we got that voice. We don't have that soft voice. That's not in Jake. Jake don't have that. So this gives a description. So if you have a description of somebody and you lay it out, if you're looking for a suspect, why are you going to look for a man with blonde hair, blue eyes, and long stringy hair? So everything they say contradicts, what our Lord and Savior Yahweh Shah looks like. And this is our big brother. So And the Father's the same way, you know. The Son, looks just like the Father, and we are the offspring, man, tribe of Judah. So don't be, fooled by them trying to flip the script on us and try to make us, you know, make us be like, flip the script on us, and they gonna take our place, you know. Let me go back to in fact to Deuteronomy 28. And throughout Deuteronomy 28, it gives a clear indication of who we are, man. A lot of these curses, man, fit us to a T. So that's part of the curses, to give us understanding of who we are. You know we are because we went off. We went against Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. So when Yahweh Shai came back, and then after he was we had him crucified on the cross, when we gave him over to the Romans, that he had our homeland sacked, man. We were going off. Back in Deuteronomy, let's see, Deuteronomy 28 and 29 through 33. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by way of I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. Talking about our homeland. We were not going to see it again till the Lord bring us back. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies. Who are your enemies? Esau, Edom. For the bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. So we're not going to be redeemed by anybody. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Frederick Douglass, nobody's going to be able to redeem us. Only the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, with the Lord shall send against thee. And like Jake don't realize, we have enemies. Who was our enemy? Evil E and all these other nations as well. They all came together, and they know who we are, so they trying to keep us away from our power. And his Lord shall send against thee in hunger. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, because we went off, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron up and on the neck until he have destroyed thee. Now, what nation out here had yokes of iron upon their neck? Mainly the tribe of Judah, but all these other tribes as well, even down in the South America and the islands, all of them were put into slavery under the Edomites, either through the Spaniards, through the French, or through the Europeans from the Britons. And ye shall put a yoke of iron upon a yoke of iron up and on thy neck until I have destroyed thee. And they constantly work hard. They haven't took their foot off our neck yet. They still working hard to destroy our people through policy, through breaking up our families, through chemical warfare, all type of ways they work to destroy you Jakes, man. You so-called black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and you speckled birds are spread throughout, the four corners of the earth. And the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as an eagle flieth. Now, what nation has the eagle as a mascot? Here at Babylon the Great, and even these other nations of Rome, their bird of their mascot was the eagle. So it goes all the way back to Rome, to Greek, all of them. And a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. Now, here in Babylon the Great, They abuse our people, whether they're old. They don't give a fuck the age of them. You know, they can be our elders. They don't give a damn. They could be in a wheelchair. They still shoot them. They still beat them. They still oppress them. Even the children. They go out there and they'll body slam a 14-year-old child, a 10-year-old child. Lock them up, put them in handcuffs. You've seen it time and time again. These young kids, being shot, and killed, without any remorse. A nation of fierce countenance which shall not regard person of old, nor show favor to the young, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, a byword. Now who's that? That's our people. We don't know who the hell we are. So they call us nigger. They call us what do you call us nigger? They call us porch monkeys. They call us all type of derogatory names. Wetbacks, spics, savages. All these names we put on our people. Negro, and the list goes on and on, man. We don't have, they, we were people that were lost, so we don't really have a true name. Until we found out, till the Lord opened up the books, man, and showed us who we are. We are Israelites, man. That's our true identity. And we went so long without knowing who we were, man. Knowing that we were God's chosen people. A proverb, a byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee. And all these nations call it different type of names. I think Hamites call us, I forget the name that they use on us, but all these nations have different words and bywords that they use against us. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. So like we in the dark times, man. As long as we've been under the pressure under these devils, man, our people been going through it. They have a few that they allow to get up there to be gatekeepers to make a little bit of change, think they have something. But that's only to keep us in check, And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore. Not people oppressed. They've been had our foot on our necks, since we've been over here. And we've, our women been spoiled, our kids been spoiled. And that means no good, They turned us out. And no man shall save thee. And again, no man is not going to be able to save us. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Farrakhan, none of these people are not going to be able to save our people. Only the Lord Yahweh and his son Yahweh coming back with those angels, man, and those chariots, man, and that's who's going to deliver us, man. We're going to have a deliverance like never before. When we're delivered out of Egypt, it's going to pale in comparison to the time, when Yahweh comes back and grabs us this time. And he's going to make short work of the enemy, man. 1 hour, that's all he said he need. 1 hour. I'm going to hit some more Deuteronomy 28. I'm not going to go too long on this, but if you just go through Deuteronomy 28, man, it just gives a clear indication of who we are. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, and observe and do all his commandments which I have commanded thee this day, the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. But we didn't do that. We went off. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, and thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, Yahweh. But we didn't do that. We went off, like I said. We went against our Lord and Savior and started worshiping these heathen gods, Let me see. Shalaka. And if we, like I said, Lord, we to follow the commandments to say, the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath, that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them. See, he's going to make us the head, not the tail. But right now, we're the tail because we went off. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I commanded thee this day, that all curses shall come upon thee. And these are curses that we're going through, and overtake thee. Curses shall thou be in the city, and curses shall thou be in the field. So no matter where we go, we're going to be cursed, man. These curses are going to hang on to us, man. They're going to cling on to us, man. Not going to be able to shake them off. The Lord shall make the pestilence to cleave unto thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land which thou goest to possess it. And the Lord shall smite thee with the consumption, and with a fever, and with the inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with the blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. And especially over here, you had Gad and Reuben, man, when the Edomites came over here, they were totally healthy. They never got sick, and they knew about the herbal medicines and all that. And once, they came over here, it's supposed to be to worship Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, but they started going off. They started worshiping all other type of deities, and so the Lord sent Esau, Edom over here to get them. Sent the Ham over here, and he brought with him the plagues with the smallpox, all type of plagues that started decimating and wiping out the so-called Native Americans over here, and even down in the South Americas. And like I said, they brought the sword. I think it's Christopher Columbus that was saying that, man, he was butchering so many till his arm got tired. I think how it goes. He was butchering so many of the native tribes down there in Hispaniola that his arm got tired with the sword. From Because remember, our people mainly are peaceful people, man. They weren't built, they weren't, really here for war, And same way over here in America, same way they did Gad and Reuben over here. And with the sword and with the blasting and with mildew, they shall pursue thee until thou perish. They pretty much decimated the native tribes over here. And the Lord shall make the rain in thy land powder and dust, and from heaven shall it come down upon, until thou be destroyed. And the Lord will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with the emerods, and with the scab, and with the itch, and thereof thou canst not be healed. And our people suffer from many type of plagues. High blood pressure is one of them. Sugar, diabetes, all type of ailments, man. Our people suffer with. Our people going through it. And the Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. And thou shalt grope in the noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness. Thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Let's repeat it again. That means pay attention. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shall not gather the grapes thereof. Now, who's that? Our people working the fields over here. So-called Mexican tribe, Issachar. Issachar working the fields. They bring the buses in. They send them out there to work and pick the fields and work the wine. Especially I've been out in California, those places, man, those wine country, and you see Issachar, they're running, man. They getting in the sun. They running on crates back and forth to the trucks and stuff like that, gathering up the grapes for the wine, man. But they're not going to be able to drink that wine because they can't afford the wine that they're making out of those places. They're selling that cheap wine in the store, but not the wine that they're out there gathering, man. We build these houses, these elaborate houses they have, man. We don't live in those houses. Go down and all over these places here. You see Jake out there building, pouring the concrete, the foundation, framing. Issachar doing a lot of the framing and stuff. Those are our people, man. But we're not living in these fancy houses, but we build them for them. You go down to the islands, same way. Thou shalt plant a vineyard and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Thy sons and thy daughters shall given unto another people. Now, who sons and daughter was sold to another people? That's us. That's our people. And even to this day, man, they come and snatch up our sons and daughters. You know, they like they did Gadites and Reubens. They took snatched the kids and put them in these so-called training facilities. You know, supposed to be what they call beat or teach or I forget how they call it. They're going to learn the savage. You know, they try to make them. Well, they abuse them pretty much. They abuse a lot of the Native American children in these places. I forget what they call the places. Pretty much damn near concentration camps, man, for the kids. And you go back and look up the history on that, man. It was just brutal the way they did it, man. Came in there and found any reason to snatch those kids out of those from their parents, man. Young kids, man. Same with our kids, you know, constantly, you know. They're always grabbing the parents, especially during the crack epidemic. You know, they took a lot of kids from the parents and threw it into the so-called foster system, and we know how that goes, man. And the Lord shall smite thee in the knee and in the legs, and with the sore botch that cannot be healed, from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head. You know, Jake going through it. You find a lot of Jakes, man, with all type of ailments. But that's part of our curses, man, that we go through. Especially if you're in this truth, man. You know how it is. You know, we go through a lot of these things that we talked about, you know. But we wear it with pride because we know, you know, hey, we fucked up, you know, and that's part of what we're supposed to receive, man. And the Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou hast set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. And over here, they got these so-called plantation churches, man. They got people going to. And they got Caesar Borgia up on the cross, and they worshiping and giving all praise to a false deity, man. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. Thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, and shall gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, and thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. And you know, back in when they brought Jake over here, as soon as they had a child, they separated that child most times from the parents, you know, or either they took the father and moved him to another plantation. That's all by design. They still doing it today through the welfare system, through making Eve want to be independent. She don't need a man where she can raise a child on her own, you know. And you know, many of us Jakes out here, we know we have children that was taken from us, man, because the women of our tribe, man, fell for the trick of the devil. But thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. And this whole system over here in Babylon the Great is nothing but they took us from the fields and they put us into these factories. That's all it was. It's a transfer. The Emancipation Proclamation was all about a transfer from the fields to the factories, mainly up north, and then, you know, now factories everywhere. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Thou shalt lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Remember earlier it was saying that we was going to be the head and the tail if we follow those laws, statutes, and commandments. But what it says here, because we didn't, he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. You know, everything we get is like a mortgage. Car, we get a car loan. So everything is pretty much lent to us, and we have to end up pay back with all type of high interest loans, you know. We don't lend to them. Where do we have any banks that we lend to these other nations? Not one, you know. We have a few banks that's out here, but it's not that many. If they are, you know, it's probably still, you know, it's run by the banking families. And he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him, and he shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. We the tail now. but the script is going to be flipped, man. Wherefore all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he hath commanded thee. And you find out people living in many of the ghettos, they redline to the ghettos, to the barrios, and to the reservations. That's how you know we those people, man. You look at these other nations, the Amalekites, man, they living good. They're the ones who, how can they be the Lord's people and they're the ones, they're the bankers, they're the one that control the credit cards, they're the one that control Hollywood, the media, they're in all these high places, but we're the tail. They're the ones that's the head. So that's a clear indication of who they are and who we are. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. It's talking about forever, that's ever till the Lord comes back. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, with the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until I have destroyed thee. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, nor oil, or increase in thy kind flocks and sheep. Something else I want to get in here too. I'm kind of jumping around in here because it's a whole lot in Deuteronomy 28. Verse 56, Deuteronomy 28, verse 56. This is our women of Israel, man. Tell me this is not our women. The tender and delicate woman among you, which thou not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness. Her eyes shall be evil towards the husband of her bosom, and towards her son, and towards her daughter. Now, you go back probably to the time of Solomon, King David and King Solomon. This is our women now. Check this out. As tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set her sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness. It shows how our women were so effeminate, man. Were so beautiful. How they carried themselves. And now look at the ratchet behavior you see now, man. They're barefoot in the club, walking around in the dirt, body exposed, man, on the ground, humping the ground. It's just pure wretchedness, like wild beasts, man. That's how our women have become from what they used to be, man. Our women were regal, man. Regal amongst all the nations. Now look at them, man. You got the Cardi B's, the Meg the Stallion, the what's this other thought out here? It's a bunch of them, man. The list goes on, and those are the ones that are influencing the young women of our nation, man. And then she, like said, and her eyes shall be evil towards her husband, especially in Babylon the Great. You look what they done. They got the gender war going. They got the gender war going on between the male and the woman. They done told the women, they done put that spell on her of feminism, where she don't need a man, and now she's chasing career more over family. Most of our women now, they don't even want a family, so her eyes are evil towards her son and towards her daughter. A lot of women refuse to even have kids nowadays because they rather have a career than submit to her Israelite man and have children. And towards a young one that cometh out between her feet, and towards her children which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for want of all things, secretly in the siege of straightness, wherewith thy enemies shall distress thee in thy gate. And that's going to happen, man. The same way it was in when they sacked Israel. They were eating their own kids. It's going to happen again through the times of Jacob's trouble. And see, a lot of our women nowadays, man, they abort most of their kids. I think a child has less than 50% chance of surviving in the womb of an Israelite woman. Because she'll go out there and delete her own child, man. That's how bad it is now with our people. Verse 59, then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed even great plagues, and a long continuance and a sore sickness and a long continuance. So we definitely got the plagues on us, man. We're going through all type of ailments and poverty, and we got the heathen on our neck, every chance he can get. He's forcing things on our body, forcing it in our food. The food that we eat is so defiled. Yeah, we're being utterly destroyed, man, here in this kingdom. Verse 64, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other end, and thou shalt serve other gods which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So our people were scattered all over, man. You ever take those, especially during the springtime, they dandelions, when they come up, they're real fluffy and white with little seeds on them. And you hold them up in the wind and you blow them and they scatter and they go all over into the wind. But that's where the Lord did us Israel, man. Once the temple was sacked, we ran out of our land. He scattered us all over. That was the southern kingdom during that time. But the same thing happened during the Assyrian of the northern kingdom. They took them and scattered them all about. So we all over in different places. All over in Southeast Asia, the Philippines, Vietnam. A lot of our people all over there, man. Even some in Russia, some in Australia. So we all over. The Lord scattered us all over. And some of us may look like the other nations, but it goes by the seed of your father. And Jake, man. Jake loved to have sex. So when they went to those places, and women love to have sex with Jake, So they definitely spread their seed amongst these other nations, but they may look like the other nations. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. So even though our people in these other nations, India, even some of our people are over in the promised land, but believe it or not, the plague is still going to be on them. They're going to be the bottom of the barrel in those nations. I'm going to finish this off with verse 68, which I started off with. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. We're not going to see our homeland again, man. That doesn't mean that we're supposed to, and you see some people say, well, the verse said that we're supposed to separate ourselves from the heathen, and go back. No, we're not supposed to go back home. The Lord's going to bring us back home. He's going to destroy Babylon the Great. He's going to go over there and purge them heathen out of our land, And he's going to make a sacrifice. The land has been defiled over there. They over there have all type of gay parades, all type of wickedness is going on in our land. The Lord's got to go purge that place, man, before we come back. And that's talking about us coming back. It's going to be the elect. It's going to be the elect, and that includes the 144,000 and the 1/3, man. It's going to be a lot. The 1/3 is going to be a lot of women and children, because we're going to have to populate all over again. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. And with that, I'm going to close this out and let you know that, man, we are the people, man. We're the salt of the earth. Look at all what Jake has done over here, man. All the inventions that we have done. Any nation that we were held captive under, they all thrive. Look at Egypt. We're the one that made Egypt thrive to the point of what it was. That's why the Pharaoh didn't want to let us go. Same with over here in Babylon the Great, modern day Egypt, modern day Sodom and Gomorrah, because they have the practice of all those nations, man. They worship them same gods, man. And we're the same people up under them. And that's why this nation got to the point of where it was. And we have our people out here crying for reparations. This man ain't going to give you no reparation. Not what you do, not what you're supposed to get. The Lord's going to get our reparations, man. And our reparations are going to be them, because what they did to us, we're going to be able to do to them. Shalakia. They're going to have to build our nation, man. These heathens, especially Esau, Edom, they're going to go into captivity as we were. they're going to have to help build our nation. So with that, I'm going to close this. Shalom, and on to the next.